Alright guys, welcome to another video, and in this video we're going to be going over the cold calling trap, why wholesalers who dial themselves stay broke. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to be showing you why cold calling is probably the most inefficient way to get your first wholesale deal, especially if you're working a full-time job. And I'm going to walk you through the exact numbers from my business that prove why VAs and even paid leads generate deals 10 times faster and with a 20 times higher return on investment than cold calling ever could. Let's get into the presentation, guys. If you're building a wholesale business while working a full-time job, you've got maybe 2 to 3 hours a day to work on your actual business. The gurus tell you to spend that time cold calling, to just get on the phone and dial, but what they don't tell you is the brutal math behind that advice. So let me break this down analytically. At $30 per hour, you can make about $60 in your daily 2-hour window. Industry data shows it takes about 1,000 dials to generate a single lead. So that's about 16 and a half days, 17 days of consistent calling just for one lead. And our data shows it takes about 13 leads to get one contract. Just because you get one lead doesn't mean you're going to close a deal. So if you're cold calling yourself, that's 217 days of cold calling, which is over 7 months just to get one contract. And now, does every contract sell? Absolutely not. Usually you're probably going to be looking at a 70% close rate. With a 70% close rate, you're looking at 310 days to get your first deal. That's 10 and a half months of consistent daily effort. And here's the reality, guys. Most wholesalers quit within 90 days. They never even make it a third of the way through their first deal. And this is why focusing on low leverage activities like dialing yourself is a guaranteed path to failure. That's not a business. That's a mathematical impossibility for most people, just being honest. So we're going to go over my business dashboard. Instead of being trapped in that 310-day cycle, we built a system that delivers consistent results. And here's what my numbers actually look like. When we shifted from cold calling to a system actually built on VAs and paid leads, we went from struggling to close deals to achieving results like 17 contracts and 12 deals in a single month. That's almost more than a contract every other day. So our lead to contract ratio is about 1 in 13. And we close about 70% of our contracts with an average about $9,500 per deal flowing into the business. And the most important number, 30 days. That's how quickly you can get your first deal with this approach compared to the 310 days we just calculated for cold calling yourself, because we have way more leads coming in our business. What I'm about to show you isn't theory. This is an actual playbook we run our entire acquisition system on. So let's break down these numbers even further so you can see exactly why this approach fails for most part-time wholesalers. With 2 to 3 hours available daily, you can realistically make about 60 dials. At a 10% connection rate, that's 6 conversations. And based on industry averages and our own data, you'll generate roughly 1 lead per 1,000 dials, like I said before. That means it almost takes about 17 days of consistent calling just to get 1 lead. Now you can speed this up, obviously. If you have a triple line dialer, the numbers may vary, but usually people dialing themselves anyways are doing it because they're on a low budget and they don't have much money to invest in multiple phone numbers, a more expensive dialer, bigger lists. Usually people that dial themselves are doing it completely hands-on, and that's who we're catering to in this video. So our data shows it takes about 13 leads to get one contract, and to get 13 leads cold calling yourself, that's 217 days of cold calling over 7 months just to get one contract. And again, does every contract sell? Absolutely not. And with the 70% close rate, you're looking at 310 days to literally get your first deal. And that doesn't sound so good. That's 434 hours of your life spent on the phone, assuming you're working Monday through Friday and taking the weekends off. And here's the reality. Our data shows the average new wholesaler quits after just 30 days of not seeing results. Guys, I have a Discord community of 3,000 people, probably even more now. And I see this happen every single day. People quit. I would even say sooner than 30 days, 2 weeks to 30 days. That means most people abandon the ship when they're only about 10% of the way to their first deal. It's not just inefficient, it's psychologically unsustainable. So what's the alternative? For $1,500 a month, the same amount you'd spend on a decent dialer, data, and maybe some coaching, you can hire a VA who will generate about 20 leads a month minimum. No time investment from cold calling on your end. And obviously these numbers are very conservative for VAs. Sometimes they can generate about 25 leads, 30 leads per month, and at $1,500 per month, that's about $75 per lead, worst case scenario. If your VA gets 2 leads per day, that drops to about $37 per lead. And also compare that to the paid lead services that we use, about $100 to $150 per lead, or the industry average, $150 to $300 per lead, depending on what market you're in. The cost efficiency is a critical factor in building a sustainable wholesaling business. You need to know these numbers. And at our 1 in 13 lead conversion rate, that's about 1.5 contracts per month. With the 70% close rate, we're doing about a deal every single month with one VA. Not only does this approach get you a deal in roughly 30 days, it's a rough estimate. I've seen shorter sometimes, I've seen sometimes longer, but the other leads are getting thrown into a follow-up sequence, and those are just getting closed down the road. Those will actually increase your KPIs over time, but just month to month with newer campaigns, this is usually what we expect. So instead of spending 434 hours of your life on the phone, you're focusing on high leverage activities, analyzing deals, negotiating with sellers, and building your buyers list, the things that actually make you money. And the best part, guys, while most new wholesalers quit after 30 days of cold calling with nothing to show for it, you can have your first deal close in that same time frame using this approach. So let's compare these approaches in terms that really matter to your business. With cold calling yourself, again, it takes roughly about 310 days to get your first deal using the numbers that we used, requiring about 434 hours of your time making cold calls. Over a year, that's about probably one deal, which will probably generate you around $9,000 to $12,000 in revenue. With the single VA model, you can get your first deal in roughly about 30 days without spending any time on the phone making cold calls yourself. So for a $1,500 monthly investment in one VA, you're looking at approximately 13 deals per year from that single VA with the same average assignment. That will generate you probably around $123,000 in annual revenue. A big difference, right? Now, to be clear, both approaches still require you to follow up with leads and close deals. I'm not saying you completely outsource yourself and you can chill on the beach whenever you want. Not saying that. The VA isn't closing deals for you. But there's a massive difference between spending your limited time on low leverage cold calling versus spending it on high value activities like negotiating with motivated sellers and closing deals. And also, that's roughly 10 times faster results and 10 times more deals per year with the same amount of your personal follow-up and closing time. The difference is with the VA model, you're not wasting hundreds of hours making cold calls that go absolutely nowhere. I'd rather outsource that to somebody overseas. So here's how our system works in practice. I get my VAs from this website called No Accent Callers. Put the website right here. And for each VA, I pay roughly about $1,500 per month. What's great about the service is that it includes everything for me. 15,000 records per VA a month, 20 new phone numbers on the dialer each month. And the VAs already come fully trained with proven scripts. So all I have to do is just tell them where to upload the leads, and it's that simple. It allows me to only focus on the high leverage tasks and close sellers. So the process works like this. First, they handle all the VA recruitment and training, and then they set up the entire system with data and dialers. And once that's done, we start the campaign, and each VA delivers approximately 1 to 3 leads per day. Now, that depends on which market you're in. Are you going to get 3 leads per day in Los Angeles? Probably not. So we conservatively count on 1 good lead per day, which means about 20 good leads per month, counting the working days. These leads go straight to our CRM, and we focus our limited time on the highest value activities, qualifying those leads and converting them to contracts. The beauty of the system is that it works for you automatically. Your VA is making calls during the prime hours while you're at your job. Like most people, they're working. They don't have time to cold call. This is ideal for your situation. You're building a real estate business with systems and processes, not just creating another job for yourself where you're the only one doing all the work. So let me show you our complete lead generation framework that combines both speed and sustainability. VA generated leads typically cost us about $40 to $50 per lead and provide consistent volume that's customizable to my specific criteria and easily scalable. Pay-per-lead services in the industry typically cost about $150 to $300 per lead depending on the market. However, through my connections, I'm able to get quality leads for about $100 to $150 per lead depending on the markets again. These leads often have higher intent, require less follow-up, and are ready to go in most markets without setup time. You'll still need to follow up. Not every seller is going to be a layup that is going through foreclosure in a week. That's the game. Sometimes leads take 6 months to close. So now you might wonder, why would I actually pay more for PPL leads when I could just use VAs? Here's a strategic advantage. The cash conversion cycle on VA leads typically take a little longer because it takes time for the campaign to speed up in a new market. I'm not just going to have 40 leads in my pipeline and be able to work those. It may take me a month to get those 20 leads or 30 leads in my pipeline. When I have buyers hungry for deals, I can't always wait for my VA pipeline to build up. Sometimes it makes more sense for me to buy 20 leads immediately in that market for my team to start working on, and it gives me the best of both worlds. VA is building a sustainable long-term pipeline, while the PPL provides immediate inventory to start working with. If you want my PPL connection, don't hesitate to DM me on Instagram at Calvin.Quinton or wherever you guys know me. I have all my information on YouTube, but yeah, just text me. I'll hook you up with that connection. But this alone could save you thousands of dollars in lead costs right here. Let's talk about actually scaling your business. This is where the difference between cold calling yourself and using the VA PPL system becomes even more dramatic. If you spend 2 hours a day cold calling, based on the earlier calculations, you'll do about 1 deal a year, earning about $11,000. Guys, that's a side hustle, not an actual business. We want to be real business owners. If you invest $1,500 per month into a single VA, you'll do nearly 13 deals for the year, earning approximately $123,000 for the year. That's walking into quit your job type of money. Once you have that proven model, it's time to scale. 3 VAs plus some strategic PPL investments at about $5,000 per month will generate you about 39 deals per year, earning you roughly $370,000. That's not bad, guys. And obviously, if you're trying to scale big time down the road, there's another conversation about hiring closers, delegating yourself out of the business even more. At that point, you're building a true enterprise that can run without your daily involvement. That's where I am in my business right now. Guys, I haven't talked to a seller or an agent in about 1.5 to 2 years. And after successfully running this model, it was time to scale out. Hired my first closer, then the second closer, then brought somebody on a disposition, and I was strictly focused on how can I fill my closers calendars all the time and how can I keep my disposition team busy all day long. That's where it gets extremely fun. But going back to cold calling, try scaling cold calling this way and you won't be able to. There's only so many hours in a day. With cold calling, your income is literally capped by your available time. With the VA PPL system, you can scale without that limitation. This is the difference between building a side hustle and an actual business that can grow beyond your personal capacity. Now, I know what you're thinking. Let me address some common concerns I hear from wholesalers considering this approach. Usually the first one is, hey Calvin, I don't have $1,500 to invest. I understand the budget constraints, but remember, cold calling will cost you roughly 434 hours of your time just for one deal. Your time is valuable, and those 434 hours could be spent on much higher value activities or even a part-time job to earn that $1,500 to invest in your business. Second, I hear all the time, what if I don't close a deal? This is the fear that keeps most people up at night. But look at the math we've covered. You're 10 times more likely to close a deal with this system than with cold calling yourself. So you should be asking that question when you start cold calling, not when you invest in your business. And remember, with cold calling, most people quit before they even get their first deal. This system is specifically designed to get you to that critical first deal as quickly as possible. And third, what I hear all the time is, I need to learn the business first. Absolutely. I'm not throwing that out the door. But here's the truth, guys. You'll learn the business way faster focusing on high-level skills because you're actually in the business. When you're cold calling, you're just asking people who wants to sell their house just to hear no all day long. That doesn't build real skill. You're not in the field actually working on negotiation, getting in real conversations. You learn by actually analyzing deals, negotiating with sellers, and closing transactions, not by dialing for hours. You don't learn that way. The biggest risk isn't investing $1,500. It's wasting the 310 days doing it all yourself only to burn out before you even see the results. And remember guys, most wholesalers quit within 90 days when they don't see progress. So let's recap what we covered in the video. You have two clear paths moving forward in your wholesale business. Path one, cold calling yourself means roughly 310 days to get your first deal, roughly 434 hours spent on the phone, approximately one deal closed per year, and a business that's completely limited by your available time. Essentially a side hustle that's likely to burn you out before you even see results. And we have path two, the VA PPL system. This means roughly 30 days to get your first deal, 0 hours spent making cold calls yourself, approximately 13 deals per year with just a single VA, and a business that's actually scalable beyond your personal time constraints. A real business with systems and processes. The math doesn't lie, guys. The data is clear and the choice is yours. Which path are you guys going to take now? That's up to you. Remember, most wholesalers end up quitting in 30 to 90 days when they don't see results. So don't be another statistic. Build a system that actually works. Be a business owner. Focus on high leverage activities and create a real business instead of another job for yourself. By the way, guys, I do work with a small number of serious wholesalers one-on-one to implement these exact systems. I'm currently looking to probably bring on 1 to 3 more people. So if you're interested in working together, there is information in the description below. I'll probably leave a link so you can fill it out. You can book a call and talk to me. But I hope this video has given you a new perspective on building your business versus just cold calling and making this a side hustle. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And see you in the next video, guys. Peace.